The vanishing of hiker Jane, a missing 411 mystery in Yosemite. The sun was setting over Yosemite National Park, casting long shadows across the towering granite cliffs and painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. The air carried a crispness that signaled the approach of autumn, yet the warmth of the day still lingered in the valley below. It was late afternoon when Jane Carter, a 34-year-old avid hiker from Sacramento, decided to take one last detour on her favorite trail. Before we begin, tell me, where are you listening from, and what time is it there? Jane had spent the entire day exploring the Tuolumne Meadows area, a place she'd visited countless times before. Her familiarity with the terrain made her feel at ease as she wandered further than usual, drawn by the promise of solitude and breathtaking views. She wore her trusty hiking boots, a weathered backpack slung over her shoulders, and carried only the essentials: water, snacks, a map, and her phone. Little did she know that this seemingly ordinary outing would become the subject of intense speculation and debate among enthusiasts of the missing 411 phenomenon. As she ventured deeper into the forest, the sounds of civilization faded away. The rustling leaves, the distant call of birds, and the gentle flow of streams created an almost meditative atmosphere. Jane paused occasionally to snap photos with her camera, capturing the beauty of the landscape around her. Time seemed to slip away unnoticed as she became fully immersed in nature's splendor. It was around 5:30 p.m. when Jane reached a particularly scenic overlook near Cloud's Rest. The view stretched endlessly before her, a panorama of jagged peaks, lush valleys, and shimmering lakes. As she stood there taking it all in, something peculiar happened. Her phone began acting strangely. First, the signal disappeared entirely, despite being in an area where reception usually remains strong. Then, the battery drained rapidly, dropping from 70% to completely dead within minutes. Perplexed but not overly concerned, Jane tucked her useless device back into her pack. Nightfall approached faster than expected. The temperature dropped sharply, and the once bright surroundings grew dimmer with each passing moment. Jane realized she needed to head back towards her campsite, located near Tenaya Lake. However, as she turned to retrace her steps, a wave of disorientation washed over her. The familiar landmarks she relied on were nowhere to be seen. Panic started creeping in as she wandered aimlessly through the thickening darkness. Back at the campground, Jane's absence went unnoticed initially. Friends assumed she'd chosen to extend her hike, or perhaps decided to sleep under the stars somewhere along the trail. But as hours passed without any sign of her return, concern mounted. By morning, search parties were organized, consisting of park rangers, volunteers, and specially trained dogs. They combed through every inch of the area where Jane was last known to have been. Days turned into weeks. Despite extensive efforts involving aerial searches, ground teams, and even psychic mediums brought in by desperate family members, no trace of Jane Carter emerged. What made her case even more baffling was the complete lack of evidence suggesting foul play or accident. There were no signs of struggle, no abandoned belongings, nothing indicating distress. It was as if she had simply vanished into thin air. Word about Jane's disappearance spread quickly throughout the hiking community and beyond. People familiar with the missing 411 theory couldn't help but draw parallels between her case and others documented across North America. In these mysterious incidents, individuals, often children or young adults, inexplicably go missing in national parks and wilderness areas. Common threads include strange behavior prior to vanishing, like equipment malfunctions, sudden changes in weather conditions, and unexplained electromagnetic anomalies. Meanwhile, Jane's loved ones struggled to come to terms with what had happened. Her younger brother Michael, a software engineer living in San Francisco, threw himself into researching similar cases. He scoured online forums, interviewed fellow hikers who'd experienced unexplainable phenomena, and corresponded with authors specializing in paranormal investigations. Through his efforts, he uncovered disturbing patterns linking various disappearances geographically and temporally. Months later, another incident occurred just miles away from where Jane went missing. This time, it was a father and son camping near Merced River. During their evening meal, they claimed seeing lights dancing erratically above the treetops, lights resembling fireflies but much larger and brighter. When they attempted to investigate further, both men reported feeling an overwhelming sense of dread, causing them to retreat hastily to their tent. Upon reviewing footage captured by their dashboard camera earlier that day, they noticed strange figures moving in the background of otherwise empty landscapes. These developments reignited interest in Jane's case. Investigators